Disabled Veteran is a nonprofit organization. We're a 501c3, and we train service dogs for veterans living with injuries, both visible and invisible injuries. Part of the process is developing the dogs to be able to perform a variety of tasks for people who cannot do things for themselves. For example, someone who might not be able to walk without assistance, or someone who might not be able to hear. We train dogs for those type of injuries and disabilities. We also train dogs for people living with sight impairments. We train dogs for people who have post-traumatic stress. So the ability of a dog to begin to indicate and alert their handler when the stress is starting to rise. Sometimes, just like for all of us, we can begin to display certain kinds of behaviors and not realize we're doing so. The thing about a dog is they are such studiers of human nature that they begin to read signs from us before we even know it ourselves. Our certification program is developed to be multimodal, which means there are several modes of service dog training that one can become certified in. To become certified in training a dog for the hearing impaired is different than training a dog for someone who is mobility impaired or balance impaired. By the same token, it's different for someone who is living with trauma. The things that the dog does for someone with a physical disability is different than what a dog will do with someone with a psychological injury.
A lot of my want as training the service dogs comes from seeing these veterans who they give so much. I can't imagine spending 18 months away from my family, not seeing them, barely getting to talk to them, and then coming back and I'm not the same person.
Just the look on the veterans' faces whenever they get the dogs, whenever they even work with dogs, and seeing them smile and laugh and just having a great time with the dogs, that's very rewarding to me. There's all those little small steps that you have to take to get to that bigger step, so once they're finally there, it's like, oh, I did that, and it feels awesome. And then just seeing them get introduced to a veteran and seeing that bonding experience, it's amazing.
I was in the National Guard for about 2 years, 2000, 2002, and then I switched over to active duty, and I was on active duty from 2002 to 2007. I did one full deployment to Iraq and then another half deployment. The soothing effect that the dogs have is a big one. I was always at such a high anxiety level. I couldn't really come down enough to relax and to really even understand what a lot of the things that were going on with my mind and stuff that were happening, you know. And it allows you to kind of start to relate to people again, you know, which I couldn't do before. I didn't understand anybody. It was, if you didn't have the same currencies that I didn't get it. And I didn't have an emotional attachment enough to anything to care enough to pull me out of that frame of mind. But, you know, with the dog, he doesn't do anything wrong, you know, so there's no anger associated with it. It's really for, when it started, it was the only calm thing in my life, so it was the only thing I could really take a lesson from.
One of the beautiful things about the work of the dogs is sometimes my veterans will say, I'm just not the person I was. I can't comprehend anymore. I can't figure out my directions anymore. I get frustrated. Before the injury, before this happened, and a lot of who I was before. And I remind them that the dog that they have with them right now, standing right next to them, he never knew that person. He loves who you are now. That's the only person he knows. And you know what? That's enough. That is enough.